Greetings, one and all. I haven't done a little Gurdjieff show to the camera for a while. And since it is the weekend that I'm uploading this, is the weekend of Mr. Gurdjieff's uh, commemoration of his death. He died on October the 29th, 1949. I thought it'd be an interesting one to do about death. And obviously, in the Gurdjieff work, he's talking about how we can work our way through death so that when we die, we don't die as a dog, but we go forward and have created our astral bodies, our Keshjan bodies, so that we continue to live, that our soul continues, and that we don't get caught up in a reincarnation cycle or a recurrent cycle, depending on what you believe in, of just coming back as another mechanical being, possibly getting caught up in the programming, where if we can develop ourselves, we can then move on at our death. And Gurdjieff does remind us and stress to us many times, this could be the one and only chance, this lifetime, of improving yourself enough, developing all your centers and your bodies so that you do move on to the next stage. It's hard work, I know, but it's work worth doing if that's what you want to do. Then again, I know for many of us, it is a struggle to be working on ourselves all the time. But if we are working on ourselves in this life, perhaps let's say we don't make it to go on to the next stage. Hopefully in our next life, whether it's recurrence and we do this life again, or go to our next body in the future or whatever, from what we've learned in this life, hopefully we take it with us so that we can be drawn to these kind of things. We might not know, from a baby or a child, whatever, but we might be drawn, we might realize that things aren't quite right, that we don't want to be caught up in programming, or that people lie to us. Start noticing our parents and peers are lying to us from an early age. And so we have that need, that seeking, the truth seekers that we are, is still within us. We want to carry on that vibration into our next life so that we have another chance, another opportunity to develop ourselves. I quite like the recurrence theory of things, that when we die, we come back to being the embryo of the person that we are in this life, and then we relive this life again and again and again until we perfect it. I quite like that idea, but I know many people are into the, hey, no, I just go somewhere else to another body. But the important thing is that we all die, as we all know. Everybody dies unless you're either Jesus Christ, who resurrected because he was developed enough, or Elijah the prophet, who went on and he didn't die, he was taken up. And then there's the one that became Enoch. That wasn't Elijah, but that was, oh no, Enoch went on. Enoch didn't die, the prophet Enoch, he went on to become Metatron. He developed into a higher being, into an angel, an archangel even. And these are opportunities that could be there for us if we have developed ourselves. So we all have to face death unless we become enlightened. So with Gurdjieff, he was saying that when we die, if we've developed our Keshjan body through all doing the work on ourselves over the years of our lifetime, our soul will move on into that Keshjan body. And he talks about, I've got here, life is real, only then when I am. And he's talking about death. And he says, they began to give themselves up to the contemplation of the inevitability of their own death. O ye holy higher forces and immortal spirits of our ancestors, help us to keep death always before our eyes and not to succumb to temptation. It will be desirable for all, for God, for the deceased, for you, for me, and even for the whole of humanity, if at the death of any person, instead of the process of the expression of senseless words, the process of the real grasping of your own forthcoming death would take place in you. Only the complete realization by man of the inevitability of his own death can destroy these factors implanted thanks to our abnormal life, of the expression of different aspects of our egoism, this cause of all evil in our common life. And that's just suddenly reminding me, I also meant to say before I went to the quotes, it's Halloween weekend, Samhain weekend. I find it quite interesting that Gurdjieff died on October the 29th, that weekend before the vow is lifted and that the spirits of the underworld, the other world, the ghosts and everything, it's all there for them to come through in that time period, you know, because it's All Hallows Eve, the veil's been lifted, kind of celebrating the Day of the Dead type of thing. The dead can speak to us. Maybe Gurdjieff can speak to us since he died on a couple of days before us, Halloween. But also reminding us here, you know, people don't want to look at that they're going to die. Most people ignore it. Most people don't want to accept that they will die. They just think they're going to live forever until something happens to them, a shock of some kind. And then sometimes that brings them to this kind of thought forms, these kind of works of, oh, one day I will die. I've got to make the most of my life. Hopefully it would wake them up. It might make them go and just, right, I'm going to live life how I want to. Some people are like that. So where was I going with that? So with death, supposedly inevitable, but can we change it? Can we develop ourselves so that we go forward to the next stage? Only the complete realization by man of the inevitability of his own death can destroy those factors implanted thanks to our abnormal life, of the expression of different aspects of our egoism, this cause of all evil in our common life. Oh, the ego. It's the ego that doesn't want to die, really. Our spiritual, soulful side of ourselves knows that we live forever. We're an ongoing entity, not necessarily in this human form, but our soul lives on. And then I've got from All and Everything. Let me just find my All and Everything pages. Oh, yes, it's towards the end. Page 1183. The soul means now for the saving of the beings of the planet Earth will be to implant again into their presences a new organ, an organ like Kundabuffer, and the Kundabuffer was the thing that was leaving us all into delusion. So an organ like Kundabuffer, but this time of such properties that every one of these unfortunates during the process of existence should constantly sense and be cognizant of the inevitability of his own death, as well as of the death of everyone upon whom his eyes or attention rests. So remember, all these people that you meet every day, people you know, people you just pass by, they're all going to die one day. And we should remember that when we're with people. They're not going to stay. We don't need to tell them that. You know, they might be deluded enough to think they'll live forever, but we all know they're going to die. And we should be trying to help them to develop themselves in, you know, whatever little hints and seeds we can plant. And Gurdjieff goes on in All and Everything. Only such a sensation and such a cognizance can now destroy the egoism completely crystallized in them that has swallowed up the whole of their essence, and also that tendency to hate others which flows from it. The tendency, namely, which engenders all those mutual relationships existing there, and which serve as the chief cause of all their abnormalities, unbecoming to free-brain beings, and maleficent for them themselves, and for the whole of the universe. And we don't want to do things that be maleficent. We don't want to be doing things that hold the universe back from its continuing development. We want to be helping it. We want to be making it aware that it's a process that's going on and not that everything's developing and growing, which is why I sometimes wonder maybe things aren't fated, because if everything's developing, it can't be set to a certain regime, let's say. So if everything's not fated, but maybe there is a programming that keeps us stuck to a certain way because we are mechanical, then maybe it can be seen as fated because we're following a certain process. We're not developed enough to break free of it. We're doing this kind of work. We're breaking ourselves free from the mechanical processes. And when you break yourself free, then you've, you know, smashed that stone of fate, and you can go anywhere, do anything, because everything is unwritten and you're alive and awake enough to see what's going on. I wanted to do a couple of quotes from Views from the Real World. So this is page, in my book, 216. A man is the result of the interaction of planetary emanations and the Earth's atmosphere with matters of the Earth. At the death of an ordinary man, his physical body disintegrates into its component parts. The parts from the Earth go to the Earth. Dust thou art, and to dust thou shalt return. Parts which come with planetary emanations return to the planetary world. Parts from the Earth's atmosphere return there. In this way, nothing remains as a whole. This is important. Well, it's all important. This bit's important about your next stage. If the second body succeeds in becoming crystallized in a man before his death, he can continue to live after the death of the physical body. The matter of this astral body and its vibrations corresponds to matter of the sun's emanations and is theoretically indestructible within the confines of the earth and its atmosphere. So if you've developed that second body, when you die, your soul will go into it and you will continue to live on. There's still more work to do on oneself when you get to that stage. And Gurdjieff explains all that in All and Everything and in his other books. And then there's other writers that have explained it even more. We need to keep working upon ourselves. It's not a be all and end all when you get into that Kesjan body, but it helps you develop. And then you're broken free of what I was saying earlier, of all the programming and being mechanical. You are alive and living in a real and harmonious way. But also, I want to do the next one, also from Views from the Real Worlds. So this is kind of reminding us of the two rivers, and I've done the two rivers before. You have to live through being identified with all the attractions of the first river. You must die to this river. This does not mean physical death. From that death, there is no necessity to rise again, because if there is a soul and it is immortal, it can get along without the body, the loss of which we call death. Christ spoke of the death which can take place in life, the death of the tyrant from whom our slavery comes. And as many of you know through doing this kind of work, you do die a death to your old self while you're still living. You know, you are reborn because you found a new way of living that's more free and alive and awakened. And, you know, this is why people say, I've been reborn in Christ or whatever. It's kind of the same thing with spiritual, esoteric, alchemical development. If you've developed yourself and seen that the old you is not the way you want to continue living because it was programmed, mechanical, wasn't really alive, and you want to become the new you, you're going through an alchemical process. So you're being reborn. You had to die to that old way of living, go forth into the new. So with love and light to you all and peace and such like, thank you for watching. If you can find where Gurdjieff is, and if he comes through to you in his, you know, he's out there somewhere, you know, that's great. I'd love to hear any messages from him. May you find peace in your soul so that your soul has peace when it moves on. And so don't forget with Halloween weekend, say a blessings and a prayer for all those loved ones that have gone beyond the veil.